Balut, Philippines. Balut is a fertilized duck egg, incubated for 16 to 18 days, then boiled and eaten whole. By the time it is cooked, a partially developed duckling sits inside the shell. You crack a small hole at the top, drink the warm broth first, savory, rich, like concentrated poultry soup, then eat the yolk, the soft embryo, and the white. The tiny bones are soft enough to chew through entirely. The texture moves between creamy and gently firm. Balut is sold at night by street vendors across the Philippines, eaten with salt or a splash of vinegar, and has been a working-class protein staple for centuries. Outside the country, it defines bold eating. Inside, it is simply dinner. Hakarl, Guinea, Sanprawan, Pakrail Dantron, Iceland. Greenland shark meat is toxic when fresh. It contains compounds that would make a person severely ill within hours. So Icelanders buried it. The shark is pressed under heavy stones and gravel for up to 3 months, allowing the toxins to break down, then hung to dry for another 4 to 5 months. What remains is pale, rubbery, and cut into small cubes. The smell is aggressively ammonia-forward, sharp, chemical, unmistakable. The taste is intensely salty, funky, and fermented in a way that nothing else replicates. Icelanders eat it in one quick bite, then chase it immediately with brennivin. Hakarl exists because a people found a way to survive on something that should not be edible. Fried tarantulas, Cambodia. In Skuon, Cambodia, deep-fried tarantulas are not a tourist stunt. They are street food with a historical reason behind them. The spiders are palm-sized, marinated in salt, sugar, and MSG. Then fried in garlic oil until the legs go brittle and the body turns golden. The legs are crunchy and light. The body center is soft, pasty, and mild, somewhere between chicken and soft-shell crab. This food began during the Khmer Rouge era, when starvation forced people to find protein in the jungle. Tarantulas were abundant and edible. Survival became tradition, and tradition became identity. Skuon is now known for this dish specifically, and the people there wear that fact with pride. Surströmming, Sweden. Surströmming is fermented Baltic herring, and it produces the most powerful smell of any food commercially sold. The fish is lightly salted and sealed in cans where fermentation continues indefinitely. The bacteria never stop. By the time the can reaches the consumer, it visibly bulges. Opening it releases a sulfuric, rotten, aggressively sour odor so powerful that airlines have banned it from flights. But the taste, for those who make it through, is salty, tangy, and deeply savory. Swedes eat it wrapped in flatbread with butter, onion, and boiled potatoes outdoors, because indoors is not survivable. It dates back to the 16th century when salt was expensive and fermentation was cheaper. What started as economy is now a cultural ritual defended fiercely by those who grew up with it. Eskimos. Mexico. Eskimos are ant eggs, specifically the eggs of black giant ants harvested from the roots of agave plants in central Mexico. They are called insect caviar. The comparison holds. Small, white, oval, and seasonal, they are harvested by hand in spring. Slowly, carefully, because the ants bite. Sautéed in butter with garlic and epazote. And Eskimos take on a nutty, lightly sweet, buttery flavor. The texture is delicate and soft, closer to pine nuts or ricotta than anything protein-heavy. They have been eaten since the time of the Aztecs, considered prestigious enough for nobility. They disappeared for centuries and have now returned on the menus of Mexico City's finest restaurants. Ancient, forgotten, rediscovered. That cycle is what gives Eskimos their particular gravity. Kiviak. Greenland kiviak takes 18 months to make. A ringed seal is stuffed with up to 500 small seabirds, feathers, beaks, and all, sewn shut and pressed under heavy rocks in the cold. For a year and a half, the birds ferment inside the seal, preserved by the fat and the Arctic temperature. When finally opened, the birds are eaten by squeezing the fermented meat directly from the skin. The flavor is described as deeply gamey, intense, and ammonia-forward, like very strong blue cheese with a meat character underneath. Kiviak is made for celebrations, weddings, birthdays, major occasions in remote communities. It is not daily food. It is a feast that required a year and a half of patience. In a place where winter is extreme, long fermentation was not a quirk. It was engineering. Shirako, Japan. Shirako is the sperm sac of cod, pufferfish, or anglerfish, and in Japan it is a prized winter delicacy. The name means white children. Raw, it looks like small pale lobes, soft and slightly translucent. The texture is extraordinarily creamy. It melts almost instantly on the tongue, leaving a rich, smooth coat. The flavor is mild and oceanic, with a faint sweetness and a clean, briny finish. Nothing sharp, nothing aggressive. It is served raw as sashimi, steamed with ponzu, or in hot pots. Fresh shirako tastes like the ocean was turned into cream. Its place in Japanese cuisine reflects a culture where softness, subtlety, and seasonal precision are valued as much as bold flavor. Century egg, China. Century eggs are preserved duck or chicken eggs that look like they belong in another world. Packed in clay, ash, salt, and quicklime for weeks to months, the egg transforms completely. The white becomes a dark, translucent, gelatinous brown. The yolk turns gray-green and creamy at the center. The flavor is intensely savory and sulfuric, far more concentrated than a boiled egg, with a deep umami and a faint ammonia edge on the nose. They are sliced and eaten with pickled ginger, which cuts the richness, or served over congee. The method is over 500 years old, developed to preserve eggs without refrigeration. What looks alarming is deliberate chemistry, a transformation controlled precisely to produce something more complex than what it started as. Tuna eyeballs, Japan. Tuna eyeballs are sold in Japanese supermarkets for less than $1. Golf ball sized, they are steamed or boiled at home with soy sauce, garlic, and ginger. The outer layer is firm and chewy, like squid. Inside, the fatty tissue is soft, rich, and gelatinous, with a mild, oceanic flavor closer to tuna belly than anything sharp. The central lens is left uneaten. Everything else is consumed. In Japan, food waste carries real cultural weight. The entire tuna is used, not just the fillet. Tuna eyeballs are not strange in Japan. They are logical. Chapulines, Mexico. Chapulines are toasted grasshoppers, and in Oaxaca they are a pantry staple, not a novelty. Toasted on a flat griddle, tossed with lime, chili, and salt, they become uniformly crisp and snappy with a sharp, nutty, acidic flavor. They are eaten as snacks, sprinkled over tacos, stirred into guacamole, served alongside mezcal. Chapulines have been eaten in Mexico for over 3,000 years. They were a primary protein source long before livestock arrived on the continent. Today, they are appearing on international menus as a sustainable protein with extraordinary efficiency. Oaxaca understood that 3,000 years ago. Witchetty grub. Australia. Witchetty grubs are moth larvae found in the roots of bushes across central Australia, and they are one of the most important foods in Aboriginal Australian culture. Cream-colored and finger-thick, they can be eaten raw or cooked. Raw, the texture is soft and fatty, with a flavor like almond paste. Cooked over coals, the skin crisps to a golden shell while the inside stays liquid and creamy, nuttier, richer, with a hint of prawn. They are extremely high in protein, fat, and calories, critical in a landscape where other sources were unreliable. For tens of thousands of years, they kept communities fed in the harshest conditions on Earth. They are not a curiosity. They are a cornerstone of the world's oldest continuous food culture. Haggis, Scotland. Haggis is sheep's heart, liver, and lungs, minced with oatmeal, sweet, onion, and spices, packed into a stomach lining and boiled for several hours. The result is dense. Dark, crumbly, and deeply savory, peppery and warming in a way that makes immediate sense for the Scottish Highlands. The oatmeal gives it body. The offal gives it an iron-rich depth that standard ground meat cannot replicate. Served with mashed turnip and potato, neeps and tatties, the richness is balanced by mild starch and sweetness. On Burns Night every January, the dish is carried to the table while a poem written by Robert Burns in 1787 is recited aloud. Then the stomach is sliced open ceremonially. A dish made from scraps became the national symbol of an entire country. Bird's nest soup, China and Southeast Asia. Bird's nest soup is one of the most expensive foods in the world, and the key ingredient is a nest built almost entirely from the solidified saliva of cave-dwelling swiftlets. Harvesters climb the walls of limestone caves, sometimes hundreds of feet high, to collect them. The dried nest is soaked, cleaned, and dissolved into a clear broth. When cooked, it becomes translucent and gelatinous, soft, slippery, lightly chewy, with almost no flavor of its own. It takes on the broth around it, usually a delicately seasoned chicken stock. Raw nests can cost over $2,000 per kilogram. Bird's nest soup has been consumed in Chinese culture for over 400 years, prized for its believed effects on skin, immunity, and energy. The demand has never slowed. It is the luxury food that makes gold leaf look affordable. Durian, Southeast Asia. Durian is a fruit covered in sharp, rigid spines, weighing up to 8 kilograms, and banned from hotels, public transport, and airline cabins across Asia. Inside, where the flesh is pale gold, thick, and custard dense, coating the mouth completely. The flavor is layered and genuinely complex, sweet and custardy at the core, with notes of vanilla, almond, and overripe banana. And then underneath all of that, a sulfuric, savory depth that reads like onion or roasted garlic stirred into cream. That combination, sweet and sulfuric simultaneously, is what divides the world. In Southeast Asia, durian is given as gifts, eaten at celebrations, and used in ice cream, cakes, pastries, and candy. Outside it, people cannot be in the same room as one. Durian does not ask to be liked. It simply exists, fully, completely, without compromise, and lets you decide where you stand.